playoffs. And now we're in the game here. Villanova on the red team and UMass on the blue side here. Looks to be line of scrimmage as we've seen so far.
Boo! I want fights.
Yeah, it's interesting because Sona is not good at answering an invade. So I've liked to see UMass try to go for just some kind of play here. But Alistar also not quite as good for an early game invasion, as he would have to use his flash in order to actually get catch someone with the pulverize. So
And usually you can flash away from that too, but that could be a great thing to burn. Like, if you use your flash as Alistar, burn the flash off of either Kaisa or Sona. Easy gank potential for XD once he gets to level 3. Has that elastic slingshot. Could always be a potential, but of course, we're not going to see that. Teams do not want to risk that because every game matters. They want to book their ticket to DreamHack Atlanta. That's what we're all fighting for here.
And looking over at like the items here, the Lucian already starting with the Doran's Blade, incredibly aggressive, ready to just start doing damage here. Whereas Cryonics go off the Doran's Shield, not even the Doran's Ring, and just say, you know what, this lane is going to be incredibly rough. I have to be able to just survive this early game, and he's ready in for the long haul.
Scary Clown taking a lot of damage from the native. The native stays in there for quite some time, but minions are level 1, do a lot of damage that you have to be very careful if you are the native.
I think traditionally when I've seen this matchup, Orianna's going to start going shield first because it mitigates damage and also gives her armor and magic resistance. But it looks like he opted to go for the command attack here, which he does give some damage onto the native, but that Thunderlords did a good amount of chunks. It did about as much as the minions did to the native. So
Exactly.
the choice of skills there.
Could be more just needing that wave clear to try to keep up a little bit with the native. Now that it's level 2, the shield coming in for Scary Clown should be able to keep him pretty safe in this mid lane. But look at that. The native going pretty hard onto Scary Clown, chunking out Orianna.
Oh, and the pressing attack here from Fabto is going to just start showing in how aggressive he's playing here. And, you know, the Lucian, especially I usually tend to see Lucian tend to go press the attack because of that auto attack canceling plus the double, not auto attack canceling, the auto attack reset coming out from his passive and his skills. So he's going to be, again, this pressure on this lane is going to be incredibly immense. We already see XZ.
Oh, Scary Clan taken pretty low, has to flash away. Turret shot onto the native as LeBlanc is struck down a little bit, but getting both summoners off Scary Clown early. This is what we were talking about with this matchup. LeBlanc into Orianna, one of the few people who can punish Orianna in lane.
Yeah, and then we have, as an XD, positioned around bottom side so far. Because he is Zac, he does have a revival passive, so they could potentially go for a dive with how strong or how heavily the UMass is pushing the bot side. Meanwhile, in the top lane,
Krynos
getting ganked.
gotta be careful, slowed down by the Q, wants to get away from there, but that is going to be the change to try to connect, but flashing it back to the turret. Flash gone, that is another gankable lane for the side of Villanova.
Yeah, at the moment though, Urgot does not have that ultimate obviously, so even if Karnapsa is hit low, he's gonna be able to just walk, to be able to flash away, but you know, that is a huge wave for Whimsical. He's gonna get the CS advantage here. However, Georgia taking his opportunity to go for the blue buff, so Villanova should know that XD has to be somewhere around bot side.
Has to know that and probably wants to look for this gank, but with how far Krynox and men are pushed in, it makes it very difficult for University of Massachusetts to actually look for that gank. We talked about how squishy this lane is, but they've been doing a good job at freezing this lane right by the turret, not quite under it, so that they don't have that much of a kill threat coming in if XD wants to look for a gank.
Yeah, it's really good position in terms of how the lane has gone for them, but now Law going in!
Oh, that's the trigger that you want to see. He was able to get the knockup, but Ignite put down by Men. A little bit of poke back onto Fab2. Flashing forward from Chrononix. Wants to pick up the skill onto Law, but here comes the heal flashing as well. Men taking a lot of damage from that pressure of the attack with the Ignite as well. First blood picked up by Fab2.
And then XD is also here as well. Meanwhile, in the mid lane,
they got the body slam on Scary Clown, a lot of damage, but he's not going to be able to survive this. There's no way. He's just clearing out the minions. They want to give this kill to the native. It's going to be 1-for-1 trade, but then in the bot lane, there's even more action happening as the support does get picked up. They lose Law, but Vapthu picking up the second kill.
just so many, just both these fights happening in both the mid lane and in the bottom side. Mostly that bottom side fight as a result of, I would say, Villanova's bot lane being a little bit too ambitious with their damage. You know, the Sona, while is good at, has a lot of poke, she's not necessarily like the kind of a fighter who's going to go in and try to get a kill like Alistar would. you know, right there, Law did miss the auto attack stun on the, I don't remember what the rampage was, or like the trample. So there was a little bit of damage that he missed out on. And the Lucian, as we said, much stronger of a fighter than the Kaisa.
Exactly. So, that's the problem with that lane when you try to go that aggressive as Kaisa Sona. You can get easily turned. Fapto does a lot of damage in these early stages of the game, and now the fact that he has the Bilgewater Cutlass over just the Berserker Greaves of Cryonics, this lane is heavily in favor of Massachusetts.
Yeah, if Law gets another good Headbutt Pulverize on either one of these two members, honestly, they're probably gonna die. Just because they're not tanky enough to handle the full damage combo of auto-attacking Lucian.
In a little bit of danger underneath his own turret. Whimsical might actually be able to look for a pick. It does have Fear Beyond Depth, and Cryonics will have to go very far back just to be able to get a safe recall.
Yeah, not quite level 6 yet either, so not much they can do. But in the bot lane, we're already seeing Fapto just showing how
Look at this damage! Whew.
Yeah, if Law had managed to be able to get some kind of engage on, he does have the Hex Flash. I think this bush is warded.
I think it is not.
Oh, no, there's a pink ward in there. Okay,
yeah, there's a pink ward. That's why I don't think it is warded, but I think they saw him go into the brush, so that's why they're staying so far back. They're like, no, we know what you're trying to do, Law. We don't want to have any of that.
Yeah, now Gragas here trying to see if they can counteract it. Fapto does go in at the same
time. Fapto not afraid at all. That's a disengage coming in from Law. The explosive cast missed Fapto because of a great headbutt pulverize coming in from the Law to be able to disengage, and now look who's showing up. It's XZ flashing forward on the crowd, slamming him back, whip the smash, and it's gonna be 3 kills picked up in the bot lane. The native just a little bit too late on the roam. Massachusetts now on the hunt. They're looking for blood. They might even be able to turn onto the dragon.
XD opts in to just say, hey, I know my top lane's going to be suffering for the most of the game, but I'm just going to make sure that my bot lane is able to just get incredibly strong. And now on the top side, though, Ryelsa forcing a fight.
Has to use the World Ender. That's not really going to be a surviving lane anymore. Gets pulled back by the chains, but with that Blood Well still propped up, he's going to be able to at least survive it, but will be shoved in hard into the turret.
Fapto has pretty much no mana here, so won't be able to probably continue pressuring this lane. He's going to keep staying in here just to go to CS, but Georgia coming in for round 2.
We saw what happened last time, and XD is in the wings, so maybe Georgia has to be a little bit careful. He does back off, doesn't actually go for it. But I'm just curious to see what happens in the top lane, because Whimsical has a shorter cooldown on the Fear Beyond Death compared to that of the World Ender. With the level advantage for Whimsical, the CS difference as well, this lane eventually, Cryonics is not going to be able to survive.
Yeah, and Fapto has to essentially now just pay dividends on these ganks that he's getting from XD and the amount of support he's been getting. Because both the mid lane and the top lane are struggling. You're going to see that right here with the dive.
Yeah, Cryonics is going to go down here for sure. I wonder if they want to give this open to the native, just gift the free kill. It's going to be very nice to keep this LeBlanc snowballing. 2 kills to her name.
And I think now XD is kind of in a rough spot here, because even he does try to gank Whimsical Melody or the native, they're so far ahead of their lane that you can't really do much. You have to be able to provide a large majority of those like ganking power. And Zach isn't necessarily like the highest damage dealer even when he ganks. He's really good when you have someone who can follow up with the CC, but not necessarily has to be the one who also has to follow up to his own CC.
Exactly. And that's why you have Fapto, you have Scared Clown, you have Cryonopsa, but the problem is now Cryonopsa falling so far behind. Look at the build. Going for the Ninja Tabbies compared to that of Fade and the Kindle Gem on Whimsical. This is Urgot we're talking about. So
yeah, Urgot's not having a good time in this one already.
So there's going to be a lot of damage coming in from Urgot, where right now XD's got to do something to help out Cryonopsa in the top lane.
Oh, the ult coming down.
Oh, is he going to be able to survive? Crescendo a little bit too late as Fapto does pick up the kill. Flash coming in from Men. As Law and Fapto are laying down the Law in this bot lane. They are owning it. At least one side of the map is winning for Massachusetts.
There's one thing that Cryopsa can take and can be happy about is that he's getting a TP out from Whimsical Melody so that Urgot can't TP down and try to help save his bot lane. But that's coming at a pretty high cost, considering that Fapto just keeps getting more and more gold.
He jumped forward, and look at the damage from Fapto. Obliterates Men so quickly. Even with Ignite sticking, it doesn't really help out. Georgia falls to XD. Crynox does show up, but it's a little bit too late. Jumps in with the killer instinct, does get the shut down, as well as might be able to get that passive proc. from XD. Does the law want to save him? No. Because look who's coming in the wings. The native does show up. Do a little bit of damage on the other side with the Ignite as well. They might be able to get him locked up underneath the turret. It's not going to be enough. XD somehow comes back up into the fight, but probably will fall here. So it's actually turning around against the killing spree. What the hell?
Yeah, Cryonic not walking over those Zac blobs to prevent him from healing off of them was a huge misstep there, because like, that was what saved him. He was able to get off the electric slingshot, and for all Zac, like you max that ability first. That really does a ton of damage. And so, you really don't want to let him get enough HP to let him use that.
Cryonopsa forced to use the World Ender once again in this top lane. Not even going to be able to get the Fear Beyond Death this time. This lane is the one thing going well for Villanova. As long as Whimsical can keep shoving in, Cryonopsa keep forcing this Aatrox to stay underneath the turret. At least you're keeping one part of the map going. Because you will have the native who can roam pretty well. Aptu just
taking a lot of damage.
Killer Instinct isn't up though, so not going to be able to jump forward from Crynox. Aptu does got to be getting a little bit more careful. Even with the Blade of the Rune King, not going to be able to heal up that much compared to what Men and Crynox are going to be able to dish out, especially underneath your own turret.
He does have to auto attack to lifesteal, so he's gonna have to really trouble sustaining himself a little bit, especially since Blade of the Rune King isn't that doesn't give you that much life back. It gives you a lot of attack speed and life back, but you have to be able to actually stand there and auto attack to get your life steal. So that was a lot of poke damage coming out. And again, top lane, Cryonopsa not having a good time.
Good flash to dodge away from the body slam. But, yep, that will be the first Brick Gold going over towards Villanova. They're going to be able to get that for themselves. So, keeping the gold lead slightly in their favor, even though they're heavily down in kills. The fact that they're able to at least keep this Aatrox so pinned down. Same with Scary Clown, who hasn't been able to roam as well as Native has been able to. Is keeping Villanova very happy.
Yeah, it's actually kind of surprising to see that LeBlanc has been able to out-pressure this Orianna, despite that I would say that Orianna has a slightly better way of clearing the way faster than LeBlanc. Possibly LeBlanc is going so aggressively that Orianna is unable to really clear the wave without taking a lot of damage for it.
That's exactly what I think it is, but now Georgia caught out, has to body slam over the wall, but Aptu does not care. The Colon comes out, Crescendo to stop it a little bit. Crynox has to go back underneath the turret. Aptu takes it pretty low. No Killer Instinct going to come out just yet. There was a CB in behind from Whimsical, but they're not going to be able to find Fear Beyond Death onto the target they want. They won't be able to get that shutdown on Aptu just yet unless he oversees his welcome.
So at this stage of the game now, Urgot is probably scarier than Lucian. So right now, this is Villanova's time to sort of utilize the fact that they have a top laner that's ahead and to try to get objectives across the map. So right now, it gives them the Dragon. If they keep going on, they might go to the bottom or at least switch over to 1-3-1. So, Whimsical Melody now going to the bottom side of the map. Cryonopsa now has to make a choice. Does he want to stay in the lane of top, or is he not going to be relegated back down to bot lane where he's still going against the Earth?
Does seem that they're going to be switching the lanes up, sending Fapto and Law into the top lane. That way, Cryonopsa can at least try to hold on to this turret. It's a long lane for Whimsical Melody, so not going to have as much wiggle room to play with, especially if they do want to look for the gank from XD. But we've already seen a couple of dives coming in from both the Native and Georgia. They don't care if there's a turret standing for Cryonopsa, because that's how far behind he is. The Scary Clown missing the Shockwave.
Yeah, I think and this lane is probably the one that we have seen the least. And the thing is we've seen the Native a lot. He's been able to roam so much out of this lane. And it just seems like this awkward position that UMass put themselves into by going into this Orianna pick.
Ooh, I was waiting on bated breath. Look at this. This is the damage. That's what I was waiting for. They got the knockup as well. And our trash taken out. That's the Let's Bounce to drag back. Kaisa, a double kill for Fapto. He's got 8 kills to his name at 14 minutes. Man, is he getting far ahead. He's going to be able to get that Black Cleaver really soon.
At this point, UMass is just investing all of their resources into getting Fapto fed as much as possible. It's pretty much the Uzi tactic, right? You funnel everything into this Lucian so that he can, deal with the tanks, deal with the damage dealer, and deal with the mid laner at this point.
Yeah, but we saw how the Uzi tactic worked at Worlds. Unfortunately for RNG, didn't really pay off for them. We'll see if it pays off for the University of Massachusetts as they do take their second turret of the game.
Yeah, this Lucian has gone so aggressively, going for the Berserker Greaves boots, which I think are generally less common, I would say, for Lucian. You generally want to go for like the Lucidity boots or even a more defensive option. Berserkers is a completely super offensive way of building him. So yeah, just they're going off of the another dive.
Look at this. They constantly are punishing the spot lane anytime they step forward. Killer Instinct does nothing to help. That's a rampage for XD. That's how far ahead this back is. Though Scary Clown, unfortunately, will die in mid lane as well.
Yeah, Villanova tried to respond with a mid lane dive of their own, but I don't know.
They gotta answer this. They have to answer this push. They're just gonna get a tier 2 unless somehow the native can get up here and punish Fapdu.
Yeah, it's an 8-1 Lucian and a 4-0 Zac, just constantly applying pressure to this bottom lane. And again, now Georgiev might be going into
caught out, but look at the native in the backline looking for the pick onto Fapdu. He's trying to see if he can kite away for a little bit. He has the press of the attack damage. Jump back out with the distortion. Native could go back in if he wants to. He's looking for that pick onto Fapdu, but will be a good wraparound from Lucian to make sure not to get picked off by LeBlanc as the bot lane continues to fight. Headbutt out of there. Still not the damage that you need onto Fapdu. Does bounce him back, but Distortion constantly coming forward as Crinopsis will die in the bot lane in this split push fight that happens. Goblets top. Native still on the hunt. Wants to find Fapdu. Look how low he is. XD is finally going to get shut down. It's going to be George to pick up the kill, but the shockwave coming in from Scary Clown finds the native.
I just at that point now, UMass has just been overextended. They finally have found the point in which they have stayed for too long. Long enough that Psionics and Men were able to respawn and walk all the way back to the top lane where the fight was still going on. And at the same time, where was Scary Cloud the entire time? Native was topside. The mid-turn hasn't gone down yet, and he wasn't helping out with... Oh yeah, he was dead, right.
He died in the play. He was able to roam up there and at least pick up a shutdown kill onto the native, but the problem for me is the fact that that fight was so long. Like you said, Rhinox and Meadow Trash were able to respawn in that fight and find a couple assists, a couple kills to get themselves a little bit of gold and get a little bit back into this game.
And it's still worrisome thing is that Crinopsa cannot handle Whimsical Melody, and I think at this stage of the game he won't be able to handle Whimsical Melody until 6 items. And with that, you know, if your top lane is constantly going to be behind the lane that he's in, Whimsical Memory now dictates if his team gets to pressure the Dragons or the Barons or whatever.
Remember how we talked about earlier, you wondered what matchup won, Urgot versus Aatrox, Urgot winning the lane, but Aatrox winning later on? Well, Aatrox is never going to be able to come back into this game with how far behind he is. It's going to take him another 20, maybe 30 minutes if he actually wants to be able to go to toe-to-toe with Urgot, because that's how far behind he is.
Down 50 CS is going to be increased even more as this game goes on, because Urgot is just not going to allow Aatrox any CS like while he's in the lane. So, I hope UMass knows what they're doing by investing all of these ganks and resources onto the Lucian. Just finished out the Black Cleaver. Are they going to try to get a fight with it?
You have to try to see if they can get a pick on the Whimsical Melody. They have to do something to help out this Aatrox, because he has yet to complete an item. You have 2 items completed for Fapdu, like you said, Black Cleaver now being completed. You don't even have the Black Cleaver for Aatrox. That's how far behind he is.
20 minutes, almost 20 minutes into the game. The second dragon is going to come up 40 seconds left, but it looks like UMass in better position here to actually contest it. They can get this mid turret. There's no one here to respond to this. So this is a free turret here for UMass. But how does it translate? Now that Villanova is rotating down, it's going to be the first 5v5 fight of the game.
We'll see how it goes, especially if Whimsical Melody is able to get a lot of damage on the Fapdu, but he's playing the front attack comp pretty well. They go for the all-in, they find the pick on the Whimsical Melody, they have a lot of damage, but Flash though, oh, that is the Crescendo only locking down the law. That's not necessarily the person you want to get back into the line. It's the native trying to see if he can get on the Fapdu, but he's kept very safe. There is the wraparound potential coming in, but if got there, just goes all in on it to the native. They get the killing spree. There is only a little bit of damage coming in the back line. Here comes the Killer Instinct into everybody. Triple kill for Whimsical Melody. We wondered how the fight would go. Well, he never stopped Whimsical Melody. It's easy Villanova.
And the main thing there is that the native was just constantly trying to find the back of the LeBlanc's line. He was thinking, where's Lucian? I'm going to kill the Lucian. So that is the only champion that is scary right now on UMass. Even if XD flies in, he doesn't do a whole lot of damage, and without any real follow-up, the damage is not there. Lucian is the only one on UMass's team that is worth being scared about. Whereas the Urgot and the LeBlanc are just absolute monsters at the moment.
Damage coming in from Whimsical Melody, the tankiness he provides for the team, and this is perfect timing for Villanova. They get the Rift Herald the moment it was about to despawn, so that way the Baron's up, they can easily utilize that to get that tier 1 in mid that's still standing for University of Massachusetts. Start getting more and more gold. They're sitting 2,000 in the lead after one fight where it was dead even before.
Yeah, and at this moment now, Men Are Trash is showing why they picked the Sona now. Finish the Ardent Sensor, which is going to be great on both the Urgot and the Kaisa, and then also building towards Redemption, which is just going to be even more healing. The problem you have with Alistar is obviously he provides a tankiness and support and like utility and tank, but Sona provides a whole lot of healing, and that's going to make the Urgot even harder to kill.
With Righteous Glory completed for Urgot, gonna be able to run down to the back line. That fight looked like it was going well for the side of Massachusetts. They looked like they had the pick onto Whimsical Melody, one of the people they really do need to take down in that fight before it can really begin, but then he was able to flash out, go for the wraparound into the back line, and find the pick onto Scary Clown, onto Fapdu, so that they took out the main back source damage of Massachusetts, and right now, do you even think Whimsical Melody can be killed?
He definitely can be killed. If you get all 5 members of UMass, they can probably all group up together.
That's a lot, though.
Exactly. It's a situation where, like, I think if it was just Crinopsa, Fapdo, and Law, they can probably take down Whimsical Melody, but it will take a lot to do so. And right now, Scary Clown does not have the damage to abuse the fact that Whimsical Melody has no MR. He's just... It just seems like Scary Clown is so far behind, despite having more CS, that just not doing the same impact as the native is in these fights.
The Shockwaves haven't really been able to connect onto many members. We haven't really seen too many great picks onto people, especially if they get the pick onto Fapdo. He flashed over the wall. That's only a 2-man Shockwave. Cryanox being one of them. They can drag him back with the left gun to get the shutdown, but it's going to be enough to help him out in the backline with the teleport now completed by Whimsical Melody. If the 4v5 does pay off, Flash coming in from the native, and if they can pick up the kill onto him, that is going to be huge for the side of Massachusetts, because Whimsical Melody was way too late, and now, this is what we were talking about. Can they kill Whimsical? Well, when you don't have a team to back you up, that's when you see the pick on the Whimsical Melody come into effect and get the shutdown gold over to Fapdu.
This is what we were watching when this is what was happening when we were watching Robert Morris University in Illinois. They say, oh, you know, the only scary member of their team is bot side. Let's just have a fight and just see what happens. And as it turns out, their 4v4 considerably stronger. So now it looks like Massachusetts is just gonna say, hey, you know what? That was a great fight for us. Let's get the Baron and we can just start. The game is now back in our favor.
Back in the favor, and they'll be able to start sieging down a lot of these turrets, try to see if they can finally crack into the base, because there's a lot of tier 2s that stand for Villanova. We'll have to see how they're able to play with a full 5v5 composition. Like you mentioned, that was a 4v5. Whimsical was way late to the party, so if we do have another perfectly even 5v5 fight, does that still go the way of Massachusetts?
Cryonics needs to not get caught again. That last fight, he got shockwaved plus the Zac ult into his team, and was just not really able to do that much damage in that fight. And I think with the Kaisa pick, you really want her to be doing a lot of damage. And not necessarily the same with the solution, but you know, Urgot also needs to be there in the fight as well, because there's no real tank as of right now for Villanova. The Gragas finishing just nice Vow, going for what seems to be the rando with Illman. And look, when that's finished, it's not gonna help a lot. Lucian's already got the Black Cleaver, finished the Rapid Fire Cannon, and looks to be building MR here, probably the Hex Shrinker into the Maul Malmortius.
A lot of damage coming in. Shockwave onto 2 members, but not really having the follow-up. That's the crescendo onto the right person you need Fapdu. It's the one taking so much damage they actually finish him off. Who they want to get? The native as well was picked off by Spirit Clown. Slapped back in. Cryon is still holding on to tier life underneath the turret, but look who's finally showed up. It's a Whimsical Melody. It's a 35, but this time it's in favor of Villanova. Scary Clown is just pulled back in. Flash forward, wants to get the Law as well as Crinopsa is way too late to the party. The Law thrown back in and needs one more auto for the double kill of Whimsical Melody. In
the 1v1 trade, Lucian right now is absolutely not worth the LeBlanc there. Fapdo going maybe a little bit too ham trying to get that fight. And you know, they pay for it dearly. When Fapdo dies, Scary Clown just does not have the damage to supplement the loss of Lucian. That is 11-3.
Exactly. It's a huge loss for the side of Massachusetts. They need to keep playing the protect the Fapdo composition. We talked about before, this is the Uzi style. You want to have everything funneled in to your AD carry, but this is the problem with a lot of teams, including RNG had, is actually protecting him, especially when he goes that deep into enemy lines.
And really well played by Georgiev on the Gragas, you know, getting that explosive cask and pushing Fapdo so far into his team. Just really well played on the cask there. And then Whimsical Melody, just once he shows up, no one is safe from the Urgot, especially with the Lucian down. So at this point now, I would say Villanova's kind of doing the exact same thing, putting all the resources into Urgot, making sure that he can carry the game for his team until the Kaisa can scale up.
And look at that. Whimsical Melody completing the Gargoyle Stone Plate, so not only is he going to be able to do a ton of damage, but it's going to be nigh impossible to kill. He's already hard enough for them to kill before, but I don't really imagine it coming any easier, even if Georgiev does take a lot of damage from Scary Clown. He's still back behind his turret. The turret being sieged with one member still holding on to the Baron buff, that being Karnopsa, who wasn't a part of the fight, will at least be able to crack one tier 2 turret of Villanova.
I think once Scary Clown does start getting his second and third item, or third and fourth item completed, he's going to be a real pressure here for as an AP mid magic damage dealer, because that's the only defense that Villanova doesn't have. Both Urgot and Gragas have been going pure armor item, and as of right now, no one has any MR. So Scary Clown kind of has to step up and just start getting these really big command dissonances that hit 3 or 4 people. Shockwave has to hit minimum 3 people as well, because it's going to do so much damage to the front line and the back line.
Whimsical completed a Thornmill. Let's keep this in mind. You're talking about going full into the armor. They're really trying to make sure that they can stop Fapto from winning this game single-handedly.
Yeah, so honestly at this point, all on to Scary Clown to do so much damage. No matter how much Fapto, tries to build into the lethality, tries to go, Last Whisper, plus maybe even a Yomu's or something, it's not gonna work. So Lucian also just scales not that great into the late game if we're comparing him to a Kaisa, who's just able to just shred the tanks in front of her.
But I love this pickup. The Quicksilver Sash picked up by Fapto. Ooh, Karnopsa caught out. World Ender, not really gonna help him out. I don't think save him. Unless he flashes away, they're just trying to see if they can burn that World Ender. Look at Scary Clown, who's going to just be I don't even know what happened. He just gets killed so easily by Cryonics, who now has finally got damage.
And where's the vision from Massachusetts? They had no idea that there were 2 people waiting in that bush, but because of that, Cryonics essentially also gets Scary Clown killed single-handedly by Cryonics. So with that, Villanova just turns the tide again, gets an inhibitor off of that
inhibitor. Gonna be able to get this tier 2, continue the pressure onto another inhibitor turret as this is just Villanova making sure that they're the ones constantly find the pick. There's been a couple scary fights here and there, but Karnopsa can't really do much. Scary Clown can't really do much in these fights. We already talked about it before, but they needed them, and now if they're able to get the pick on the Fapto, that could be huge. They go all in the backline for the native. He wants to pick up the kill. It's going to be Men Are Trash taking a lot of the damage away. XD, for whatever reason, focusing him. Karnopsa has turned back in the fight. Cryonics was taken down by Lucian, trying to still go in. Whimsical is not done. He's not deterred in this fight. Doesn't have Fear Beyond Death, but he's trying to do a little bit of damage control so his team can escape and get onto XG. The native gets slammed back just a little bit. Men Are Trash is pretty low and gets hit by the Elastic Slingshot and double kill for the Law. Somehow, Massachusetts, even in these weird fights that look like they should favor Villanova, come back.
Without the Kaisa, Zach kind of just doesn't care about the rest, especially with the Kaisa or the Urgot. Zach can kind of bother LeBlanc and Sona the entire time. With the Spirit Visage and the Merc Treads, he's not really taking any damage from these 2 members, or actually, yeah, any of these 2 members at all. And then you have the Orianna who just focusing on trying to CC either the Kaisa or the Urgot. The Shockwave was only hit Kaisa, realistically. And then you saw Fapto was just, his eyes turned just straight on blood red towards the Kaisa. So once Kaisa was dead, then it was the Urgot. And honestly, Law almost got Fapto killed by headbutting the Urgot straight into the Lucian.
It was
nonetheless, Fapto was able to get out of there okay. So a fight goes well for Massachusetts, but they did lose a lot of their base after that. So they have to sort of get some damage control, prep the vision for Baron, and make sure they don't get caught out again like last time.
Especially with the Baron spawning up in just a couple seconds here. Seems that Villanova are the ones who want to make the call for the Baron. A lot of the members of Massachusetts on the bottom side of the map, the most important one being Fapto, the guy with all the gold for the team, but taking Krug. So if there's any sort of knowledge from the side of Villanova, they could have turned their attention onto the Baron, probably picked it up before anyone could answer.
This is a really interesting position for Villanova to be in, because Whimsical is like their main carry. Oh, never mind. XD getting caught out.
Oh, XD getting picked up. Here comes the Let's Bounce, dragging back Georgiev. Not necessarily the member you want to drag back. It's gotten pretty tanky at this point. They burn a lot on XD. Let's Bounce gone. This could be the time to go for the Baron.
Yeah, and I was saying, Whimsical Melody being the strongest member of Villanova, being down the bot side, it generally should give some warning signs to Villanova to try to suck the Baron. But it looks like, you know, they're confident in having this vision control. They're gonna try doing a death push to make sure that has to try to respond to this Baron potential. But, you know, Granopsa, again, just in a rough position against Whimsical Melody. They just take so much damage from those shotgun blasts.
This is honestly what Villanova need to do. They're using this pressure that Whimsical Melody is going to be able to get. As long as he's able to push into this inhibitor, they can now turn their attention onto the Baron, because Trinups is going to struggle. If he does try to TP into this fight, try to go for the 4v5, it's going to be answered by Whimsical, who's already TP'd in. Now they're trying to see if they can turn their attention back onto XD. If they can pick off this Zac, that's going to be massive for the team. They have a lot of damage, but he's still pretty tanky. Crescendo on a 2 members, dropping back to what they supposed to count on the patch too. But everyone's still alive. The Law has been taking up so much damage. And look who's showing up. Trinups right into the back line with the World Ender, but he doesn't do that much damage. He's going to be pulled back in with Fatu for the Fear Beyond. Just double kills for this Urgot, and Villanova, they pull the trigger. They want to go for the end of the game.
The IE now finished for Fap, though, maybe a little too late, and that's why he wanted to back before this Baron fight started, because he had the gold for it. But Whimsical Melody is just too strong for Fapto to even try to touch him. And Scary Clown, again, just not able to completely step up there and just get more damage off on these tanks who have built primarily all armor.
And our final game,
such a strong Urgot, but they can't really do it.
The final game of the day goes over to Villanova University. They take it over the University of Massachusetts, and what a game! It was bot side versus top side. Whimsical Melody versus Faptu, and